So hi everyone. So I'm going to talk first about the data problem that we are facing. As mentioned, I work with Jeff Card in the Natural Resource Ministries, have been for quite some time. So the context here that I'm talking about is more tailored toward this use case. However, it is not necessarily unique. Like most of probably what I'll say today, you can probably relate it to many other problems that we've seen around. So first thing, data lives in many systems. We have everything from on-prem, Oracle, MySQL, NoSQL, Postgres, Mongo, containerized databases on OpenShift using Kubernetes. Sorry, a little short. There we go. We also have Azure databases, AWS, Google, pretty much name it, we have it. So with that, or I should also mention we have like commercial off-the-shelf products that we have deployed on-prem and various SaaS solutions. With that, you could imagine integrating data in a singular standardized way is very challenging. With that, when we're looking at various solutions for it, you might look at a specific solution, and to do analysis or data analysis or data discovery on a particular solution, you might have an option that works really great for that. And then you look at like platform 2, and this solution actually works really well for that. However, part of what we have is then so many different solutions for each of these challenges that then we have that kind of like cross-cutting in between the solutions to actually harmonize it in a consistent way. With that as well, the data space is accelerating super quick, so we have so many unmet business requirements, and it's very hard to keep up with the current state of data. As similar to what was mentioned earlier, we have many different bespoke domains too across, even within the natural resource area in itself. We have everything from forestry to water to fishing and licensing, kind of you name it. With that as well, just like I had mentioned, complex integrations. Becomes very hard to answer the same question when data is in various places. Just a little caveat on this one, my title did myself a little disservice. This is not a one ring to rule them all type situation. Different areas have different contexts, different problems, and you might need to look at tailored solutions for a particular area. So just sort of regurgitating what I had just said, we have data silos, inconsistent standards, point-to-point integrations, slow to access data, high cost and duplication. It's a really hard ecosystem when you're talking hundreds and hundreds of different systems in different places with different support models behind them. With that, one of the most overlooked things that we have when identifying a solution is how do you actually scale this? With many bespoke systems that we have, how do you actually take what you've done once, apply it to the next thing when your variables on different sides, like your data sources and downstream consumers, are different? With that, the increased demands for actual anything to do with data reporting or data consumption is just increasing super quick, and the complexities of these asks are growing quickly. It might have been how many people in BC do this, but now it's how many people in BC in this area now do this. So the deeper we go, the harder it actually gets. We also have tight coupling of workloads. As the example was just shown, that's a perfect example of that. And then what we faced is just that lack of shared infrastructure. So I just want to quickly talk about the story of where we've come from just in this last couple of years. So our initial source, our initial solution was really focused on an open source stack using things like Airflow, Python, Multano, DBT, deployed on Kubernetes to do some data orchestration, store them in on-prem databases, make them accessible to things like Power BI. As you can imagine, with that, it's complicated. There's a lot of different pieces, and it becomes really hard to manage each of them individually. So with that, how do you actually manage each of these pieces without a unified interface? All the platforms are kind of scattered. And then the biggest thing there is like the users then require an understanding of GitHub, Airflow, Kubernetes, and I could just keep going on and on and on about all the various technologies. Part of that layered approach where how do we actually sustain the tools that we then develop. So why were we looking for Microsoft Fabric for the use case here that we were looking at? Big thing, unified data access and secure storage, but more importantly, self-serve data integration and capabilities. Us in the NR area are very heavy in data science, making sure like we have our air quality reports all up to date, anything to do with wildfire. You can kind of just pick any use case there, but the big thing there is the actual approachability of the toolkits itself. As I was just talking about there, talking about a whole bunch of different source systems and a big suite of tools to actually support it, the learning curve to actually adopt and fully utilize each of the solutions is very, very difficult. And with that as well is for us, it really did look at like a wide variety of use cases. It's not going to hit 100% of all the use cases that we have, but if it can get 90%, then we don't have 10% or one solution like working with 10% and then a second one for the second 10%, and then we end up with 10. But now if we can go more to like 2, it's a little easier. So I'm just going to skip this one here, but really the ecosystem here that we're looking at, very, very similar to the other one. We have data sources on the left. As I mentioned, we have on-prem Postgres, Oracle, MySQL, NoSQL, SQL Server, again, on and on and on. We have data in flat files like object store, Excel sheets, kind of all over the place there. We have information in our common hosted form service, Dataverse, SaaS APIs, and so on. Ingest them into Fabric, really working on that aggregation case there, and the bigger part is preparing the data for the downstream consumers. One of the primary ones is data analysis, data quality verification, but as well is if it can prepare data and make it accessible for things like AI, things like other downstream applications, things like our preparing data to be represented in the BC data catalog, for example. All could be listed there. I try to tailor this diagram so it's actually legible. My first one there, you need a microscope to actually look at. If you're interested in it, more than happy to talk about it at a later date, but this is a topic that I could talk about for hours. With that, again, I know that was quick, but is there any questions? I will be around for a little bit as well, but you can always just reach out to me if you do have questions. Yes, question?
Are there opportunities to expand this kind of approach to the key data sets that also exist outside of the provincial government, like local governments, other regulators like BC Hydro? I work in the built environment space. Our issue is this, but actually like the regulators are all totally different entities and all need each other's data, plus the private sector needs it as well.
Absolutely.
They all headed in the right direction here?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we talk about, like we talk about the energy regulator all the time. Various other areas in government as well have their own partners that they have to work with to share and integrate data. Again, it's all based off use case. We even integrate with the federal, like Environment Canada, for some things on other things. So again, absolutely, yes. But again, does depend on use case there for what you're actually looking at. Don't see any other questions. Over to you.